Trump in Saudi Arabia, first foreign trip starts as home troubles mount. The U.S. says it has signed deals worth more than $350 billion, £270 billion, with Saudi Arabia as Donald Trump begins his first foreign trip as president. The agreements included a $110 billion arms deal, which the White House described as the single biggest in U.S. history. Mr. Trump and his wife Melania were greeted in the Saudi capital by King Salman on Saturday morning local time. The 8-day trip comes as Mr. Trump faces uproar at home following his sacking of FBI Director James Comey. It will also take Israel, the Palestinian territories, Brussels, the Vatican, and Sicily. U.S. Secretary of State Rex Tillerson said the arms deal was aimed at countering the malign influence of Iran. The package of defense equipment and services supports the long-term security of Saudi Arabia and the entire Gulf region, he told a news conference in Riyadh. Mr. Trump is accompanied on his visit by his daughter Rivka, an unpaid White House advisor, and her husband Jared Kushner, a key member of the Trump administration. Like British Prime Minister Theresa May and German Chancellor Angela Merkel on their recent visits to Saudi Arabia, Mrs. Trump and Ivanka Trump did not wear headscarves. In January 2015, Mr. Trump criticized then First Lady Michelle Obama for doing the same. In a tweet, Mr. Trump said she had insulted her hosts. On Sunday, Mr. Trump will attend the Arab Islamic American Summit in Riyadh and speak about his hopes of a peaceful vision of Islam. Aides say the president hopes his speech will resonate worldwide and express a common vision of peace, progress and prosperity. Mr. Trump caused controversy during his campaign by calling for Muslims to be temporarily banned from entering the U.S. over security concerns. Legislation aimed at restricting travel from several Muslim-majority countries remains tied up in the U.S. courts. The summit agenda is expected to focus on combating Islamist militants and the growing regional influence of Iran. Mr. Trump has been a fierce critic of the international deal with Iran, which eased sanctions in return for a curb on its nuclear activities. Unlike his predecessor, Barack Obama, he is not expected to highlight human rights during his trip. In a tweet, King Salman praised Mr. Trump, adding that he hoped his visit would strengthen our strategic cooperation. He later handed the U.S. president Saudi Arabia's highest civilian honor, the King Abdulaziz Medal. Saudi Pride and Perception of Prejudice, Frank Gardner, BBC security correspondent, in Riyadh. President Trump's Saudi royal hosts have pulled out all the stops for this visit. They are lavishing him with an extravagant welcome not shown to his predecessor, Barack Obama, whom they felt was soft on their rival, Iran. Many Saudis are immensely proud that, despite his mounting troubles at home, the U.S. president has chosen their country as the first stop on his inaugural overseas tour. But pressed further, a lot of ordinary Saudis will voice their dislike of U.S. policies in the region and their conviction that the U.S., and by extension the West, is intrinsically anti-Islamic. On Sunday, President Trump will try to address these concerns in a speech to more than 40 leaders of Muslim nations in which he will call for a united stand against extremism and intolerance. Some have already commented that Donald Trump is an unusual choice to deliver such a message, but for now, Saudi officials are giving him the benefit of the doubt. White House Press Secretary Sean Spicer said that Saudi Arabia had signed a deal to buy just under $110 billion, £84 billion, of American-made arms, which he said was the biggest such deal in U.S. history. Reuters news agency reports the deal includes the assembly of 150 Black Hawk helicopters in Saudi Arabia, worth about $6 billion alone. AFP quoted a White House official as saying the deal will bolster the kingdom's ability to contribute to counter-terrorism operations across the region, reducing the burden on the U.S. military to conduct those operations. Saudi Arabia has been fighting Houthi rebels in neighboring Yemen since March 2015. The United Nations says about 10,000 people have been killed since the fighting began, with Yemen on the verge of famine. Rex Tillerson said the arms deal and other investments would add up to more than $350 billion. U.S. giant General Electric said it had signed agreements worth $15 billion, and Saudi oil giant Aramco had been expected to sign $50 billion, £38 billion, of deals with 11 U.S. companies. The agenda for the rest of Mr. Trump's trip: Monday to Tuesday, 22-23 May, Tel Aviv and Jerusalem, before visiting the West Bank on Tuesday. Wednesday 24th of May, Rome and Brussels. Mr. Trump will meet Pope Francis, then Belgian officials. Thursday, 25th of May, a NATO summit in Brussels. Friday, 26th of May, Sicily, for a meeting of G7 members. Find out which foreign leaders President Trump has met or called since taking office, as well as the countries he has mentioned in his tweets.